Well, decided I'm gonna forego trying to get that last screw broken off bolt out of that hole and just put the assembly on, being held on by 3 bolts instead of all 4. So starting reassembly, first thing I need to do is I need to put the new seals in this bearing unit here, which these were the 2 of the seals. There's actually 3 of the same seal used in this entire setup, and 2 of them go right here. These are the new ones that came in, part number 321466. That's I think an OMC part number. And 2 of these seals actually get pressed down into here, and they actually sit like this. So I don't know if you could see that, but I'm putting the 2 flats against each other so that you're going to have a groove facing up and a groove facing down. That's how the original ones were in. Well, it's been quite a while, but I am finally going to get back to work on this old 55 Johnson outboard motor on the Ugly Boat project. Might not realize it because I never actually edited all the film that I shot last year when I started this project and put it up on YouTube. I was holding back on it, and I'm now to the point now where I need to get back to this project, so I've started editing the early stuff and putting it up. And needless to say, it's been a while. I haven't worked on this for a year. This was last year that I started working on this, and then this was supposed to end up being a winter project, and it never materialized. And now it's mid-July 2013, and it's still sitting down here in the basement. And I really need to make a decision on what I'm going to do with this thing, if I'm going to get this motor running and use the boat, or if I'm going to junk the boat and sell the motor, or whatever I end up deciding to do. I just recently sold the trailer out from underneath the boat because the trailer that came with the boat was actually too small. I had a better trailer. I now put the boat on the better trailer, which is actually a little bit too large. I used the Oliver loader to transfer the boat from one trailer to the other. And at one point, when I had it off of the trailer I was selling and just sitting there, I had left it overnight, and the loader, just kind of settled on its own overnight and put pressure on and broke the steering wheel on Ugly Boat. So, as if Ugly Boat didn't have enough issues, now it needs a steering wheel. So, needless to say, it's discouraging to say the least. I've also had some recent offers of other motors and boats, and I've had to pass on them for the time being because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with this, and I really didn't want I didn't want more stuff laying around the property that was in disrepair. Alright, so without further ado, we're going to get back to this. Where we left off with this, from what I can tell memory-wise and from what I saw on video, was that I had decided after hogging out this hole that I was going to proceed with reassembly and only use 3 out of the 4 bolts and forego this. So I may still do that, or I may devise another plan. These screw holes are for the cover, the water pump impeller cover. Now, how critical it would be if I left that one out, I'm not sure. So for right now, we're going to hold off on doing that, and we're going to get back to putting the seals in the part that goes down on top of here with the bearing. So here's that cover, and looks like I got the first seal in. Started to put the second seal in and stopped for some reason, or that's just in there loose, I don't know. But the next step is we've got to get this seal pushed down in there so it sits on top of seal number 1. These seals actually go in facing back to back, so it's kind of an odd configuration. So the first seal looks like it's in correctly, so I've just got to get that one all the way down on top of the other one. Surely you didn't use a 20-ton shop press to push in that little seal. Yes, I did, and don't ever call me Shirley. I obviously didn't need it for the force because it went in really easily, but I just did it because it was nice that it kept the alignment and pushed it straight in. I didn't have to worry about the seal caulking and the bore and binding. Alright, here buried under a bunch of trash on the workbench are the remnants of the parts that I had originally taken out. The seals had broken apart. There are 3 seals that are identical. 2 of the 3 I just installed. So, just to keep myself a little sane, I'm going to throw away all of the seal parts that comprise 2 of the 3 seals, and I'm just going to leave 1 here to remind me I still have 1 that size that needs to go somewhere. Well, I found my original packing list from marineengines.com up in Vermont, where I ordered these parts, and that's going to be helpful in figuring out what's what, because a lot of these parts, unfortunately, fell on the shop floor and got all messy, and some of these bags are kind of in rough shape. This company, what they do is, it's clear that they take an O-ring, an OEM O-ring for Johnson Evinrude, get the measurements of it, then source a generic O-ring, and then put it, that's what I believe they do anyways, because that would explain why they're so cheap, and then also why they come in all these little just envelopes, and they hand write the part number and the quantity. So they just get a big bin full of O-rings of that part that corresponds to that part number, and they just pick them as they need them. So the only parts that are really true OEM parts that I got from this company were a couple of very unique parts. One being the actual impeller itself, which this is even aftermarket, it's Sierra. And the only part that is actually true OEM is this big strange gasket, very unique shape. I also found this gasket on the floor with the other stuff in them. Not even sure this goes to this motor. Oh, this might be a little, I don't know. We'll revisit that later. Alright, so this envelope had the O-ring I was looking for. This O-ring should be a replacement for this O-ring. Well, that's what they sourced, so there you go. They're not right about that. But it should stretch into the groove and hopefully not skinny up too much. But that's, yeah, I ordered the part number for this O-ring. I got this one. Too small. And that O-ring goes in this groove right here. I think I'm going to fire up the shop vac and try and clean out some of this debris that's in here. I fished out this paper thin shim that was on top of here because there was some metal filings from when I was grinding this that I couldn't get with the shop vac. They were kind of sticking to the oil on that shim. And even down in here I'm not positive whether or not I've gotten it all out, so I'm going to try and wipe that down better. And I've got to make sure this goes in with this arrow that says front pointing towards the front of the boat or the bow of the boat. On to the next mystery, which hardware goes where. I need 4 bolts to put that cap in place, and this is what I've got for hardware. So looks like we've got these 2 are the same length. This one's got this little retainer on it for the electrical wiring to the shifting solenoid, so this must go in the water pump cover. So this must go in the water pump cover. That's a shorter one. That's a shorter one. Those are 4 short ones right there that all seem to match. So I'm thinking these 2 are water pump cover. These 2 broken pieces I think are also water pump cover, because I know I did snap one of them off. And then I think what happened was when I originally tapped it the first time, I tried using one of these bolts to see if it was working, and then I ended up snapping a second one. So that's why I have 2 snapped bolts for the water pump cover. So these 4 right here are my winners. Alright, well, next goes this plate right here, which pretty obvious that that side is the side that faces up, and I bet normally when you see that rub, there's a way to tell whether or not it's extensive enough that this plate would need to be replaced or not. But in our little on the cheap repair over here, we're going to reuse this plate, just clean it up a bit. Now, in preparation for installing the new water pump impeller, I'm going to clean the oxidation off the inside of the housing here, and also down inside these two holes where the tubes go. You can see right there, there's a lot of crud in there. I'm going to clean that up so I have a better seal. Alright, I cleaned up the mating surfaces where I'm going to put some sealant on the housing before final installation. And I also cleaned up where those tubes are going to go down inside, and there's some grommets that go down there to help seal those in position.